All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Darius Anucauskas, and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And today is Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, the 25th of February 2026. Look, I wanted to do a quick little video on what's happening right now in indices, our beloved US top three, and of course some other European ones. Now, look, before we go any further, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'm not going to disappear anywhere. So, yep, basically, right now we're seeing some mixed. Mixed things in different indices, but look, we'll like I said, we'll have a look at what's happening from the technical side, a little bit from the fundamental side, and let's see if we can figure it out. Now, also just a quick mentioning of our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to pick up here is I'm going to jump into Dow, but first I want to quickly jump into Nikkei, just to show what's happening here with Nikkei. Now, look, the situation is that Nikkei is fantastic, growing, pushing higher, pushing to new all-time highs. This is a monthly chart, by the way, so you can see that so far in the month, Nikkei has gained almost 10%. So that's great, that's wonderful. But you know, whatever comes up must come down eventually. And this parabolic move to the upside, well, it could still go. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we've seen, lately some major parabolic moves to the upside, and on one hand you think that maybe it cannot go further, but well, there's a little tip in a way. If you think that it stopped moving higher, it will go a little bit more. So kind of that's the logic that I follow, and well, it's so far it's kind of I'm sticking to that logic. Now look, purely from the technical side here, yes, we cleared in the 58,000 zone, and kind of now judging from this, in a way, it seems like Nikkei does want to go towards that 60,000 zone. And currently, the weaker Japanese yen is kind of helping all this, because we know that the BOJ right now is holding off from going for those rate hikes. This kind of weakens a little bit the Japanese yen. Certainly, that this is in the short run playing out nicely for Japanese companies which are exporting, because their goods and services become more attractive on the global arena. However, this is a short-term, gain. Later on, they will have to think about the fact that if the yen continues to depreciate, then the consumer will be very unhappy. At the moment, I think Shanghai Takaichi is really how to say it, is really is happy with the fact that the BOJ is holding off from hiking rates, but certainly that will change if, let's say, if suddenly inflation gets out of hand. At the moment, inflation is fine. There are no issues there, in my opinion, but at some point, like I said, at some point the 1.5 could start growing, because currently that's the current inflation target. The previous one was at 2.1, and it dropped to 1.5. Again, we don't know how much manipulation there is in the data. Nowadays, it's very difficult to trust official data sets, because it was bouncing around 3%, and suddenly, boom, it drops to 1.5. Exactly when the BOJ starts talking about how much they want to go and hike rates, So yeah, it's like, coincidence, maybe, I don't know. And we know that the new leadership in Japan needs lower rates. They don't need a higher interest rate. They need lower rates right now in order to kind of boost spending, but we'll see how long it will last. Certainly, for now, looking at this picture here, there is more like a greater chance for this one to travel further north. And like I said, the psychological 60,000 zone looks quite attractive. Shanghai Composite, now this one's a little bit on the kind of on the modest side, however, showing good results. You can see that today the index did push higher. It did end up testing the downside line, which I have here on my chart, which is drawn from the highest point of the current highest point of this year. Look, if we do break it and we stay above it, we did break it, but we didn't stay above it. But this time, if we do stay above it, look, I'm going to aim for that highest point of this year, the current highest point of this year, near the 4,190, 91 zone-ish. And then maybe we'll see. Maybe we can create a new high for this year. Let's see. For now, let's not rush into things, okay? Let's take it slowly. For now, like I said, it is quite an interesting development happening here. Now look, let's jump into the US very quickly. Dow Jones Industrial Average, after a major decline on Monday when everybody started suddenly fearing, like having fears about the tech industry, which I don't blame them for, because it is a little bit overvalued, over inflated. All this AI spending between those big companies, like, here's my money, okay, you give me your money. So it's like the circle economy. Certainly, this is not really, it doesn't look very healthy, in my opinion. However, okay, that's only my opinion, but eventually, it has to pop in a way. Yes, you're creating AI, tools. You're creating, but at the same time, you need to create infrastructure. The electricity grid. Will it hold? Will it not hold? You need to put money towards that. There are some rumors that maybe they will force big tech giants, build their own like power plants and stuff like that. So maybe again, there are some positives and negatives to all that, because, for example, it's a very thin line that, let's say, I don't know, Nvidia goes ahead and builds a power plant, right? However, the current government power plants are, let's say, slowly dying, and or not dying, but slowly are, let's say, getting older and less effective. Maybe then, maybe the government might shift towards using the big company power plants. Look, this is just, of course, this is thinking out loud, and then maybe this won't happen in general, but then we could become submissive to a company, basically. Anyway, it's probably never going to happen. Probably something a little bit too futuristic. However, speaking of the devil, by the way, speaking of the devil. Nvidia reporting earnings today, and that's going to be after hours. Yes, after the U.S. closing bell. So keep your eyes on that one. Look, purely from the technical perspective, we're near a key area of resistance. Now, this resistance is roughly between these two levels, between the 193.60 and 195.60. So if we do get a clearance of this, then great. I think more buyers here could join in. So this is like I said, quite an important area of resistance. We just need a clearance. And then we could see some higher levels here, maybe going to the all-time high, which is near the 212 zone right here. And then we'll go from there. But there are issues with with Nvidia. Now look, if we dig into this a little bit more, earnings are expected to come out. Where's that? The revenue is expected to come out at around 66.13 billion. Okay. That's, of course, that it can be done. Don't get me wrong. So far, Nvidia has been kind of beating its estimates on revenue. So maybe. Look, this is 2024 in general. They've beaten their estimates. The same happened in 2025. We're wrapping up. This is going to be the Q4 earnings. Q4 earnings for 2025. So we'll get the final year number here. So this is on a quarterly basis, but this is on an annual basis. So I want to see if they're actually going to beat the annual number here, because okay, on the quarter side, the previous estimate was that it's going to be like closer to 55 billion. They managed to overshoot that. Now it's 66.13. I mean, okay, another big number, bigger than certainly than the previous. But again, I don't want to rush into things, okay? Because there are some issues in terms of um, how much more can this company grow, and is there enough capacity for it to grow? So this is another issue, and I think that people are again starting to talk about it. If there is, fine, this is one of the greatest tech giants ever, but at the same time, something has to be like a little bit within normalities and stuff, like normal common sense. But again, this company is getting bigger and bigger, and in a way, it's like I said, it's participating in this whole circle economy where it's giving money here, buying there, making deals. They recently made a deal with OpenAI, so yeah, it's I think it was for 30 billion or something like that. Anyway, long story short, look, keep your eyes on this. Don't try to predict it too much, because what could happen in a way here, that it could open up higher. But let's say, look at this. Look at last time what happened during the Q3 results. Now, what happened here is we had, it was a great result, great numbers and everything. Revenue beat, fantastic, but then it sold off very quickly. So it sold off very quickly, and so the earnings came out on the 19th here. Yes, the 19th. On the 20th, we sold off. So if we similar story what happened before. So good result. We could see a push higher today, but it could eventually sell off on Thursday, tomorrow. So just kind of like keep that in mind. Again, there's a pattern. It seems like that. So let's see if the pattern will remain, because this is the same story happened here. Good numbers. It reports back here. It was, I think it was, yeah, Q1 number of 2025. Reported great numbers. The next day we saw strong move higher, but then it sold off on the day. So yeah, just keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is, like I said, a very interesting company that we're covering. Let's talk. I'll pick up on this one on Friday just to see in my Markets Talk webinar, and we'll go from there. So yeah, that's regarding Nvidia. But coming back to my indices, look, the S&P 500, we're still in the box here, right? Okay, we're still in the box, and we're still trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Look, with the Dow, I didn't pick up on the Dow. The Dow right now is trading at around 49,000 kind of 330 zone, so above the cash index. I mean, the futures are moving. So we're trading on the higher side a little bit, but we have this little downside line taken from the high of the 12th of February. So if that downside line gets broken and we push above the 49,621, I think that, yeah, it's opening the path towards that psychological 50,000 again, and something for the U.S. leader to brag about. And if we do hold below this downside line, another decline could be possible. That's purely from the technical side. Similar story with the S&P 500. Look, if we somehow fall, we're currently around this area in the 6,910 zone. If we somehow drift back down, back below the 6,909 zone right here, then yeah, I think maybe a little bit of a move back down could be possible. Nasdaq also very close to that 25,000. Actually, Nasdaq is actually trading around the 25,000 mark right now. Where is it right now? Yeah, actually even above. We're around. Yeah, we're above this barrier for sure, the 25,057, 25,057, there we go. But my next target is somewhere around this 50-day EMA on our daily chart, shown as the green line, and it has been a good area of resistance before. Let's see if it stays like that, because back here, back in the beginning of February, we held nicely here by the 50-day EMA, and then we drifted lower. Let's see if we can, stay below this 50-day EMA again. If we're looking for some, further upside, look to be a little bit more confident in terms of higher levels, I think the better option is to wait for a push above the 25,383 zone, somewhere around here. This way, I think a forthcoming higher high will be confirmed. That said, you should also be very careful, because maybe we'll end up in a box again, in a little range. And, if if we fail to break above this hurdle, then there is a chance for a drift back down. So again, just keep that in mind. Very quickly, in terms of European indices, let me just pick up on that very quickly. Look, the German index is pushing higher. This is a little bit of a mess. I think we need to get rid of this upside line. But we're pushing back above this 25,100 zone. If we do stay above it, I'm going to lean a little bit more towards the upside. The day's not finished yet, so anything can happen. So that's why for now I'm just kind of cautiously bullish, but keeping an eye on that 25,100 zone. UK, honestly, this is just off the charts. It is just exploding higher. It seems like it's going to go right now as we speak. It's going to go for an all-time high. I'm looking at it right now, 10,789 almost. Yep. Look, this is, I think we're going to hit the 10,800 level. It would be a shame not to. But hey, anything can happen. But certainly, like I said, for now, everything is really positive here. My only problem is that we have quite extended. And look at these months. This is a monthly chart, and we have not seen a down move for quite a while now. And we haven't seen a down month since July of last year. At some point this will have to reverse. This is way too overstretched, and believe me, it might end up falling hard at some point. So that's why I am being very careful for now. I am cautiously I'm cautiously bullish, because I don't like to be bullish at all-time highs. So I'm cautiously bullish, but I really do like that 10,800 level. Let's see if symbolism plays out nicely. CAC40 as well, the French index, it's also really pushing hard here, all-time highs, honestly. So eventually at some point it will have to reverse back down. Am I looking at 8,600? Pretty much yes, because it's not far, and in a way, kind of, why not? So yeah, let's keep an eye on this one. DXY, by the way, in terms of indices, DXY is also an index. It's a US dollar index. We're stuck here. We're stuck near this slightly below the $98 mark, 98 mark, and let's see if we can clear that. If we can, great. More buyers here could join in, but I'm going to be very careful, very cautious. I'm going to aim for some upside, but hey, let's not over exaggerate the upside, because let's face it, the US administration does not need a stronger dollar right now. So maybe a little bit of an upside move, but not a very prolonged one. Because overall, if we look at it from this perspective, that we're in a range, the prevailing trend was to the downside. So the greater chance for this one to break out is to the downside. So, but again, we're currently in a very wide range, so there could be some upside moves here within the range. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know if this was useful or not. Thank you very much for watching, listening. I hope you found it, like I said, I hope you found it useful. I just wanted to share with you my thoughts on indices. So hey, as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, have your stop losses in place, risk only what you can afford to lose, don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. I'll see you next time in my next little video update. Bye for now.